Are you getting okay?
Spell my name.
Yes, sir. Are we good?
Stand by. Sorry about that. Jason McLean, JASON, Battalion Chief, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department.
Where you stand now, Chief? Tell us where you're at right now.
All right, so right now, it's mainly just hitting hot spots with the fire. We've got it well under control at this point versus what we were about an hour ago. We continue to work on those hot spots. We're using aerial, using our ladder pipes to be able to get to the hot spots. A lot of the fires at this point within the fire, it's very deep seated. There's been a major roof failure, roof collapse of the building. So because of that, we're having to utilize those ladder pipes to get to the fire that's underneath where that roof's collapsed.
It's going to burn for a while because of the collapse of it's so hard in there?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we will have a smoldering fire for the next several hours. We'll be posted up out here definitely through the afternoon, most likely, as we continue to work on these hot spots. And it's kind of the nature of a building like this, large building, a lot of heavy timber. Once it's lost and once the roof has come down, and then that's created a whole nother layer over the burning debris. So we'll just be battling that for quite a while.
Can you talk about how they found out? Because I know there was people walking by and maybe even just ran down here. They went on foot at first, right?
Okay, so yeah, I can give a quick overview of everything of how it all came in. So actually, our firefighters discovered the fire first. They saw it. I can't confirm additional calls coming into the 911 system. However, our firefighters called the fire in. They were on the second floor of the fire station, which is just a couple of buildings over. They saw the smoke from the second floor. They radioed that in. That was at approximately 8:11 this morning. That's when they initialized requesting the first alarm to the fire. Within 10 minutes, it did go to a second alarm. At approximately 8:21, a second alarm was requested due to the fire volume and due to the additional resources needed to the scene. We did originally start with interior firefighting, but as discussed earlier, due to the construction type of the building, ultimately we encountered too much fire to continue, and conditions became unsafe for the firefighters within inside the building, and we had to go to a defensive mode due to that heavy fire conditions within the building. Once we switched to a defensive mode outside of the building, that's when we began to utilize ladder pipes and exterior hand lines to combat the fire. It took us about an hour to bring the fire under control. From that standpoint, with 2 alarms of equipment, we had over 50 people here, 50 firefighters. We had over 12 pieces of fire equipment here, with 6 additional support fire vehicles here as well to combat the fire. There's no injuries at this point. Also, the fire is under investigation. It will be under investigation for quite some time due to what we talked about earlier. We're still several minutes to hours away from getting into the investigation phase of the fire.
You said you started fighting in the interior. You could detail where inside the building and how that all fits.
Okay, so when our fire units first initialized that first alarm, they discovered fire on the rear of the building. That's where we originally started the firefight, was on the rear of the building, and we also were putting crews to the front side of the building inside. That's when we encountered a tremendous amount of fire due to the construction type. In the tremendous amount of fire, it was determined at that point we needed to go defensive because the conditions within the building were rapidly becoming unsafe.
But no one was in, they were closed at the time, but you think that back section is like a kitchen area? Do you know what's back there? Or?
From my understanding, the kitchen is towards the back of the building. I can't say that that's where the fire originated though. That's still way early in the investigation.
Just the back of the building first.
That's where the initial fire was discovered from our members.
understand the residents of that condo building were asked to vacate for?
Yes, great question, great point. So we did during one part of the fire due to the multi-floor building next to the business and the fire that was emitting through the roof. Once fire began coming through the roof of the business, we did make the decision to evacuate the building next door. We had to go, and that became one of our high priorities, was getting all the members out of that building. To my knowledge, there's been no damage suffered to that building. That was simply because of a precaution that we asked all the members of that building to exit the structure.
Was there one person that may have ran out that was inside of the building when the fire started?
To my knowledge, I've not heard anything of that someone ran out of the building. So that'll continue to be under investigation.
So we got a mostly brick building, right? What are some of the things that are on the inside that could be full of the fire?
So as far as some of these older buildings, brick building, you have heavy timber involved. You got a steel bar joist involved with the roof line. Obviously that steel, once we begin to get a tremendous amount of heat on that steel begins to expand. And at that point, that's when the roof begins to fail. And that's what we encountered with our members. We had a lot of fire volume inside the building. They had been interior on the firefight for quite some time, for an extensive amount of time. And that's when it was determined that it had just become too unsafe due to all of those collaborating effects, right? With the construction type, the steel bar joist, it just becomes to a point where we start having roof failure, and at that point we've got to get our members back out. We have no other, we do have one other agency on scene. That's going to be Sandy Springs Fire Department. They have one unit on scene with us. It's mainly Atlanta Fire, yes ma'am.